to start. Morning everybody. Nice to see so many lively faces. The Barracas are on the front and the Barracas are down on the back. And I've got to move back here because I'm now out of this camera range. What I'd like to do this morning is just tell you a story. And it's a story about Freemasonry and how we saw it about 4.5 years ago. 4.5 years ago in Combermere Lodge we had a series of deaths, and we also had a series of factions. There was a massive breakup. We went from one of the strongest, oldest lodges that met at Oliver Street down to 11 members. 11 members in the lodge, and we actively went out to other lodges to ask them could they lend us somebody to take up one of the chairs in the lodge, because we didn't have enough able officers to run the meetings. And what we did was we decided to sit down, because at that time we had Rock Jubilee, Riverside and Louis Ellis Lodge. We're all talking of an amalgamation, and they tried to involve us in that discussion of amalgamation. And we sat down at the committee and we said, well, hang on, we've been going 150 odd years, we're small in numbers, we've got a unique number, but have we seen one of these amalgamations yet work? Or do we want to do something about it as the Brethren of the Lodge? So we talked about things that we thought about Freemasonry, and the first thing that we did was, because we had some older brethren, we said, well, when you first joined Freemasonry, did you get a job straight away? And do you know what the norm was? Anybody?
20 years.
So how long? 5 years. 12 years. 14 years. And we got this, and it's kind of like spooky, this. So we've got people that have spent 8, 9, 10 years in the lodge before they've got a job on the floor. Now what does that do? Well, we thought, well, what we see it as is it gives the young candidate the opportunity to understand, comprehend and learn what we're actually doing in Freemasonry. It gives us the opportunity to take him out and introduce him to other halls, other lodges, other members. It makes him a stronger Freemason. And I think you've demonstrated that here today, because you've already said the same things that we said in our lodge. But what did we have? We had a problem. And I don't do problems. I hate the word problem. We had a challenge. Our challenge was we had no younger brethren coming into the lodge. So we sat down and we thought about it, and we came up with a scheme. At the same time, Province launched the mentoring scheme in Cheshire. So we embraced the mentoring scheme. And what we did, we sat down and said, right, well, first of all, let's get everybody to stay in the seat that they're in for 2 years. Don't move. We all know what we're doing, so for 2 years we'll stay where we are. And the first thing that we did was, we started up our ladies' night. We hadn't had a ladies' night for 5 years. We hadn't had a social function for the best part of 5 years either, because of those factions. So we started our ladies' night. Our first ladies' night, we had 36 people to the ladies' night. It was interesting actually, because what we actually got the brethren to do was to bring people in and make sure that you brought at least one person to that ladies' night as a guest who wasn't a Mason. And we had a bit of a game. And the game on our social nights is plain and simple. We bring them into the room and we have a break halfway through the evening where we take the lady guests up into the lodge room. Now some people don't like that. Okay, fine. If you don't like it, it's entirely up to you. But what we did, we took the ladies into the room, shut the door, never took the fellas with us, and we answered all the questions that they had. Any questions at all. There's nothing like a woman who's inquisitive. Is there, Liz? Absolutely not. Okay, so the ladies would actually come up into the hall and they would ask us all the questions that we know the fellas were going to ask anyway. And then we'd say, well, please, don't tell them anything that we've told you. It's a secret. And if they asked you a question that you didn't want to give them an answer to, it's a secret. And they'd go downstairs and you'd see them. Straight into the fella's ear. Well, our first ladies' night actually gave us 3 candidates within 10 days of the ladies' night. They phoned us and asked us, can we find out a little bit more about this Freemasonry? We thought, we're onto a winner. So the next thing we did was we opened up the social functions. In our first year we did 3. This year we've got 5. 5 social functions where we invite partners, and 2 of the 5 must invite the children or grandchildren. And we make it a condition of the members of the lodge that they bring somebody along with them who's not a Mason. And you might think, well, that's all right for you because you're younger than me and we're not in that circle of friends. You'd be amazed at how many young people you actually know. I challenge anybody. You know 10 people that are perfect potential Masons. Just sit there and think for a while. So, we started off on this road, and that's how we started in bringing these youngsters in. But then we said, well, hang on. If we bring them in, do we want to rush them through this Freemasonry? Because at the time, you have January 1st, February 2nd, and in March they do the 3rd degree. For a Mason. Right, okay, we've got you in. Now we're going to get you on the floor next year. How many lodges have seen that? Show of hands. Yeah? Okay. In the current climate, we've seen that as too much pressure. It is pressure. You had, as you've just said, 10, 12, 20 years before you got a job on the floor. And you're expected this new guy in 3 months to come in, learn the book, understand what it's all about, and do the working tools or do the charge. I'm kind of like, hang on, this is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be something we enjoy. Maybe that's one of the reasons why we're losing some of the people. So what we did and set about, and I say, all this is about what we've done, not what we're telling you we're going to do. So we then took the mentoring scheme and said, well, right, okay, I can't get a mentor from a Master Mason to 12 years quickly. Or can I? Is there a way that we could give them that same experience that you took 10, 12 years to get? Any ideas? Visiting. And that's where we hit on it. Every time we take a new initiate, an entered apprentice, before he can prove himself to have made a daily advancement in Freemasonry, he has to have been and seen 6 first degrees in other lodges. Not in our lodge, in other lodges. And they are taken out with the mentor. And the mentor goes out with them and explains why each and every ceremony that you go to is different. Emulation, bottomly, Nigerian, cornerstone. They're all different. They're all unique. But a youngster wants to learn what's the difference. Now, how fast he goes on about that, when I first did it, we were drowned with the numbers of first degrees. Everybody was wanting to tell us, we've got a first degree on. There's nothing better than taking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 entered apprentices to a lodge to visit. How many people have seen 7 entered apprentices in one lodge of that lodge? I'm glad you 2 put your hands up. We've done it. installation this year, we actually had 7 entered apprentices in the lodge. And the representative said, in 39 years of Freemasonry, I've never seen that. So let's give them something new. So they go out and do these 6 first-degree visits, and once they've done that, because they've got a sheet in the back of the mentoring manual, they come to the mentor. I've done my 6, I'm ready to move on. But there are other things that we give them to do by choice, not by pressure. One of the first things that we ask our entered apprentices to do is we give them an A4 page. Tyler's Toast the Long Way. How many people in the room can do the Tyler's Toast the Long Way? Please, show of hands. Okay, our entered apprentices can do that before they've moved on to the 2nd degree, and do it by choice. It's quite powerful to watch a youngster stand up at the festive board when everybody's had a drink, when there is no pressure, when it is a social board, and he stands up and does the Tyler's Toast the Long Way. Isn't it nice to hear the Tyler's Toast the Long Way? Did you know that there are 4 Tyler's Toast the Long Way, 4 different toasts? They learn them all, but they learn them all by choice, not by command. And once they've demonstrated to the members of the lodge that they are that type of person that can learn the ritual, we'll give them a job to do in the lodge if they want. If they want. Not because we want to move them on. We do the same thing on a 2nd degree. 2nd degree, got to go out, got to do 6 visits, see 6 2nd degrees before he can move on to his 3rd. And again in the 3rd. He goes on for 6 Master Masons, 3rd degrees, before we give him a job on the floor. So that's how we run them through the masonry. Our first recruit from that, when we started the process, actually took 3 years to go from an entered apprentice, 3 years to the day, to go from an entered apprentice to a Master Mason. And people were saying to us all along, it's too long, you can't do that, you can't stop them. Hey, they were better versed than some Master Masons that have been in the lodge for 10 years. They know more about Freemasonry than some people that have been Master Masons for 10 years. But we don't just leave it there. Being a mentor, taking them out, to give you an idea, last year alone, that took 40 visits for the lodge mentor. Me. Tall order. So this year, we've changed. We've appointed another 3 mentors. So we've now got 4 mentors in the lodge. And the mentors that we've progressed into the mentoring role, who do you think we chose? People that have been through the mentoring system. People that have actually done it and still not got a job on the floor. But their experience of going out and meeting people, talking to people, they've got friends that they didn't even know were in Freemasonry. So from there, we want to keep their interest. I hear people talking about the ritual. Trust me, those youngsters will rise to the top. And if you've chosen them correctly to join, because of your social functions, because we won't invite anybody to join the lodge unless he's been to 3 social functions with his partner. And those 3 social functions of the partner so that we can see him and see if he fits, and the wife likes us, and also for him to see if he likes us. This is not a Shanghai, let's get him in because he's shown a little bit of an interest, he's asked us a question. This is, let's find out if he really does want to know. So this is the route we went. And this is the route that we started on. But then we said, well, okay, it can't just be about our lodge, our halls, our locality. We went to West Lancs, we went to East Lancs, we've been to North Wales. Trust me, it gets so much more different out there. But these are youngsters, these are